Hey guys, and welcome to Sounds Like NYC, the only podcast dedicated to spotlighting New York City talent. On this episode, we have a Brooklyn-based singer-songwriter. You can find her on Instagram at Lydia Halloway. That's Halloway. Please welcome Lydia.
Welcome.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks so
thank you for
much for
coming
coming
on.
on. So what's it like over there? Because you're
Well,
not in Brooklyn right now.
I'm not in Brooklyn right now.
Kind of cheating.
I've been hiding out in Massachusetts. I came up here to be with my family for the holidays and committed to being here for a while since, the whole jumping back and forth between households is not recommended right now.
Mhm.
But I'm coming back to Brooklyn next week, back to the loft, which is both my bedroom and my recording studio. So I'll be hitting the ground running as soon as I'm back, which I'm really excited about.
Nice. When you say recording studio, and I'm not calling you out, but I'm a audio engineering nerd and stuff like that. I went to school for it, but in terms of just like your own studio, like is it just like you a mic and like a semi-treated room, or like are you like also very involved in the process of like making your music? So is it like a bit more
So
developed sort of thing?
completely. I produce, but most of my songs are either co-produced or mostly produced by someone else because I am not very good. So I do bring other people on board for that side of the process, but I do record all my own vocals and occasionally guitar parts or piano parts in there. So I actually, both of my roommates are also musicians, so we have a
Mm.
ridiculous amount of gear in the apartment.
So nice.
Damn,
Yeah. I think we're up to 7 guitars right now, and I'm
that's
like
crazy.
Yeah.
kind of about to buy a Strat.
If
That's not
if you
enough.
need a maid, I'm free.
Yeah, no, it's great. We always have everything we need, which is awesome. But yeah, in terms of the setup, I definitely would not say it's a pro level studio. But since I'm mostly just doing vocals in there, it's semi treated. And then I bought this. I forget the brand who makes it or the name of the product, but it's basically like a half circle
Mm-hmm.
foam boards about yay high, and it actually clips onto your mic stand.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten awesome results with it. Like, when I send out the stems for mix, nobody has any idea that this is like a bedroom recording. Here, on the contrary, I've recorded a couple covers and whatever, and been recording out of my closet here,
Mm.
my grandmother's bedroom's closet, because that's the biggest one. I nailed up duvets and stuff onto the wall, which caused a little bit
Wow.
of conflict. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's actually where I recorded, most of my EP because that was during the really serious lockdown, and I have a compromised immune system, so I was like big nope to being in Brooklyn for a couple months.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I had the EP coming out, so I did end up recording a lot of it in basically this really horribly treated makeshift closet. And I mean, if you care about that kind of thing, I think you can tell a little bit on the tracks. For the
Mm-hmm.
typical listener, like most of my fans aren't super hardcore audio engineering people,
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's
So
fine. They're
get off her case, Daniel.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what you're
So for
saying.
this whole question, we'll just like bleep it out so that we could you could like keep up the facade.
Yeah.
that's completely fine. I'm not.
Like, do you have any tips for anybody who might want to like start like a bedroom studio type of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll have to drop it over to you guys in an email what the name of the product was. I was really hesitant to buy it because it was like $300 or so. And for studio equipment, that's not, super expensive. But if you're just getting started and you're also picking up a DAW, like I do recommend like if you can avoid using a crack of Ableton or Logic or whatever you're in, that's can be better because you save yourself the price of the laptop repairs.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think that
I'm
one's
yeah, I mean, because a lot of people don't know, even though it is like a professional DAW and stuff like that, but like Reaper is like a great DAW. It's like $60 and you get like a full-fledged, DAW with its own plugins and stuff like that. So
what
like that's like a great option for people on a budget.
I
Yeah.
started
If
in
it's not
garage.
Apple, I don't want it.
And
Shut up.
GarageBand isn't obviously the most expensive, but honestly, I produce a bunch of super early tracks that I only put on SoundCloud. They're not on Spotify, but I did them all in GarageBand. And I mean, if you're a really beginner, there's definitely a better way to spend a couple $100 than on a DAW. I feel that.
Hmm.
I liked GarageBand, and I actually came across an instrument sound that was like identical to one of the big grime songs at
Mm-hmm.
that point. This was a few years ago, so I think it must have been like one of her really big hits, either Oblivion or Genesis or one of those, if you listen to her at all. And she produced that album, Visions, on GarageBand completely. And I was
Yeah.
like, this is it. I found the instrument she used. There's like no effects on it. So that was a really exciting moment for me when I first started producing. But yeah, I mean, my mic stand is super cheap. My mic was like a couple $100s, and that was actually something my friends gifted to me when I first started recording. I was super hesitant to like invest any money into myself, because I was always really a writer, and it was just me playing acoustic guitar, and I was like, I don't know about spending, especially like, at that point I was a student. A few $100s was like big time money at that point. So it was really sweet. My friends like all pitched in $20 or something and got me
Oh.
a pretty basic like Rode mic for my birthday, and they were like, you have to record this EP, which was really sweet. So yeah, and then that thing is still kicking, and it's been a couple years now.
Yeah. So like speaking of which, like so where does your musical journey begin? And like cuz it seems like you've been producing music kind of like on like a regular basis and just like very like constantly and like consistently. So
Yeah,
like when yeah.
complete beginner. Again, I will make no claims for my production skills.
Mhm.
But I basically, like so many people, been a musician my whole life. I think I wasn't like an amazing singer growing up. I wasn't like one of these kids who's getting the lead in every play and all of that, but I really loved writing, and I loved playing piano. I took piano lessons from a pretty young age, just, like so many kids do. And that was really blessing. I think my earliest connection to music was actually through dance. I was like training to be a professional ballerina. I was like ballet every day, since I was maybe 3, and I really like loved connecting to the music in that way, and it felt very like, you know um, very creative and empowering to me when I was like this little tiny kid. And then I started getting into writing. I mean, I was writing songs in like 7th grade. I was super into Lord of the Rings, and I wrote a lot of songs about Lord of the Rings, which, I now realize makes me basically like, who is it, Led Zeppelin, who has like a
Yeah,
bunch.
just like yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically Led Zeppelin. But yeah, I started writing really early, and then in high school I hung out with a bunch of music kids, and kind of,
The
um,
stoners.
yeah, always, always. But learned my way around a little bit of studio lingo that way. And then I didn't really launch my own like real project though until, gosh, I did a couple songs in college, but I never really felt like this is good enough to put out, and like I really believe in this. I read this great thing. God, I should have like taken. I think it's on my Instagram save, so I will send this to you as well, because I think it was some like fairly notable person who talks about like the gap. Have you ever heard of this?
Are you talking about like from like a music production sense
No,
or like a
so
music?
it's just like a general creative thing, and I think this was actually from an author, I want to say, but about like when you first get into something, your taste improves really quickly, but your skills improve pretty slowly. So you
Mm.
have really good taste, and you like can hear what's good, and you have a feel for it. Or for me, like I'm listening to so many songs every day, and I get a feel for what kind of writing I like and what's good and what like really hits you. But that doesn't mean like just because you can recognize it and your taste is good doesn't mean that you can replicate that and you can do it yet, because that takes years.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in that like the gap between where my taste had improved and my skills were still like, I was stuck in there for a while, definitely. And I just kind of kept at it until 2019, when my first like real single that I really got behind, full on, came out. And yeah, it's just been sprinting since then.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's kind of like the classic or like every kind of like creative person probably has that experience and probably we will perpetually have that experience of kind of like the difference between what we can do and what we aspire to. So, yeah, but I never heard of that of that term or of that idea being like named the gap. So, thank you for teaching me that.
Write it
Yeah.
down.
But, huh?
Write it down.
I, but no, I was gonna say, following that, like, crap, I just forgot the question. No, give me a second. We were talking about music, yes. we were talking
That
about.
that is this whole thing.
Yes. So when you started music, or like your first single coming out in 2019. So yeah, so with that, so we were doing like a bit of research about you before and stuff like that. And so from just starting out in 2019, we're looking at your like Spotify end of year rap thing, and like you already have like what, like 143,000 streams, and like
88,000
88,000
listeners.
listeners. So like, how the hell did you get so far in like about a year?
Yeah.
Got the cheat
So
codes.
I think I'm completely indie. It's just me, like, again, recording in my bedroom, running any marketing that I'm doing is for the most part just me, myself, and I, which is really crazy and scary. I think part of it has absolutely been, luck. I had a song, my first song got picked up by Zara and was playing in their stores, which sadly, all that progress got shut down with the pandemic, but
Right.
that was cool and that was driving some people to my music. And then a couple of my songs have done well in China, and it's like the craziest
Wow.
thing
Hmm.
because they don't have Instagram. So I heard about this, like I had no idea the songs were doing well, and then people were like DMing me when they came over to start school in the US or whatever, and we're like, we love your music in China. So those pieces were definitely luck. But that aside, like I absolutely spend a stupid amount of time just finding playlists that I think
Right.
my music would be a good fit for, and like,
Mhm.
oh, the person who made this playlist also included some indie artists and some lesser known people alongside like obvious bops. So emailing a lot of those playlisters and just being like, even if it means I'm like stalking them to the ends of the earth to find an email address or somewhere
Right.
I can
Yeah.
DM. And then like usually just try to be super, humble and
Mhm.
actually listen to their playlists and be like, I really found some great music on here. I think your listeners might vibe with one of my songs. Would you be down to add it? So that's kind of been my strategy, and I've had good luck with that so far. But it's interesting, some people like my song Autopilot. That for some of my listeners, that's their favorite song of mine, but it's definitely not like my most number one streamed. So and other people like my really more upbeat, like dancey songs better than the low key stuff. So when I'm reaching out to people, I try to keep that in mind. Like 90% of the people I reach out to are just like flat out no or don't reply.
Mhm.
And that can be discouraging, but I think that's just the reality of any like performing art.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
for
because
well for you, like what do you think makes the right playlist? Like if an artist were to look for, you know, playlists to get on, like what would be sort of like key indicators they should like look for when picking out a playlist to reach out to?
That I use as a hack is because I know a lot of other musicians, whether through New York or through school or whatever it might be, who are at more of a similar level to me. Like if you go to Ariana Grande's page, you go to her bio, and there will be a list of the top 5 playlists she's discovered on, but they're all going to be like global top 40 Spotify editorial playlists. But if you go to my page, you'll see like playlists that are just made by basically people who are really into music, and they promote their playlists a little bit, and they have maybe 1,000 or 2,000 listeners, and that's not like, it may not seem like, oh, this is going to make my career if I get on this playlist, but those people are usually like, those playlisters are a little more open to indie acts, and also yeah, like if it's showing up in someone's like this artist is discovered on these playlists, that usually means the playlist is active at least. So
Mhm.
like people are actually listening to it. It's not like from 2014 and no one listens anymore or whatever.
wow, yeah, because I was gonna say that like that kind of like playlist seem, or like you're the first artist I think we've had on, or like one of the few that have like talked about specifically playlist and stuff like that. And like
I think it's
I
a big
really feel
thing. It's a
like
big thing
N-
for artists, right?
yeah, it's a big thing, but like I really don't hear about artists talking about how to get on playlists and kind of like going to the extent that you've gone to of
Hmm.
like getting through playlists, because it seems like that might be one of the biggest factors in you becoming, and like kind of like all of your success in like just over a year, because like
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
because
for
like
I
sure.
that's
So
definitely recommend it to any artists out there, and I'm happy to answer specific questions people
mhm.
have point. I go live all the time for like questions from other musicians. But yeah, it's definitely it's helped me a lot. It's been great. The one thing I'll say is you have to be careful about playlists that have bots. Like generally anyone who asks for like people will like ask you for money to be on their playlist, and you should really try to avoid that because they're usually scammers. And with Spotify just took down, 750,000 songs, I think, that were like all like a ton of hype generated by bots, so
Wow.
you gotta really watch out for that.
Wow. So like how did you yeah, so like so it seems like you're like kind of like pretty like savvy when it comes to being a musician in the 21st century. But like so like let's talk about so let's move from your wisdom of Spotify to your to like how you approach Instagram, because like David did kind of like a pre-interview with you, and it seems like you guys were talking about how you don't really use Instagram as much as like people would think they should use Instagram. So what's up with that, and like how did you
Like, what should artists focus on if not Instagram?
yeah, but more specifically, like how did you kind of like come to the point where you decided that you didn't need Instagram as much as people think they need it in terms of being a musician and outreach and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Instagram is awesome. I love Instagram. I love TikTok. I really enjoy TikTok. I do make videos and I do post on Instagram. Like I'm still on there. I post a couple times a week, I do stories and all that stuff. But I think um people put a lot of pressure on themselves to be like either constantly posting or especially around like the number of followers. I only have like 2,000 followers or something, and relative to the listeners I have on Spotify, that's a little low. And, people might worry about that. But for me, it's like, I would rather have 2,000 followers who really care about my music and are actually there to like listen than 20,000 random people who are just like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll follow, whatever. And then are never going to like actually come through and listen to my music or actually going to like really engage or really
Hmm.
care. So I just think like, you know, if the followers I'm getting are people who are like actually there for the music, then that's
Right.
wonderful. But I'm not gonna like put an insane amount of energy to gaining numbers
Hmm.
basically that aren't people who really care.
So,
Yeah,
so
that
what's
makes
the role for
sense.
Instagram then? Like for an artist,
I'm sorry.
According
like what's the role of Instagram for an artist?
Hmm. I mean, I think Instagram, when I do make those real connections with people who care about my music, it's like the best feeling. And
Mhm.
it's so awesome to get DMs from people who are like, I love your music. I'm from Serbia and I heard your song on Spotify and I think it's so great, whatever. Or, it really cheered me up, whatever that might be. And I love hearing that. And yeah, I mean, I've been posting, I'm going to post one tomorrow, actually, I think something called, I've been doing lyric deep dives where I go to like one verse of a song or the pre chorus and I break it out and I'm like, let me explain to you why I wrote the lyrics this way and what they mean. So I guess I see Instagram as kind of like, if you want to like go behind the scenes on a song,
Hmm.
or understand like my life so you can understand my music better. It like enriches the songs or
Right.
makes them, more meaningful to you.
Hmm.
Like I think that's why I follow artists on Instagram. Like I follow Nina Nesbitt, who's an artist who I really love. And she's an amazing singer-songwriter. She's from Scotland. She's had a few pretty big hits. She's totally established. She opened for Ed Sheeran and all that kind of stuff. But her Instagram is like following her has given me like I appreciate her music even more now because I feel like I know her as a person.
Hmm.
So I guess when I say, I focus less on Instagram, I think if you're doing it in that way where like you're really expressing yourself um and enriching your music for fans, then that's awesome. But if you're just there to get like your blue check or whatever because you have 100,000 followers. Like I know so many people with 100,000 followers and their music is like dead on Spotify.
Garbage.
don't go that far.
No, so like Instagram's more about giving context for like your art, basically.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because especially I feel like you probably could like write a book about, you know, how I became a star on Spotify in less than a year sort
With
of thing
only
or something like
2,000
that.
Instagram
Yeah,
followers.
something like that.
Yeah,
Because it's really because you seem to have really played the game in your favor, and like it's amazing. It's kind of like talking with you because yeah, you seem to like really know what you're doing, and like
hmm
I feel like that's more people should definitely be like you in a sense of like knowing how to like properly, push their music and stuff like that for sure. Yeah.
Good.
I was super uncomfortable with it at first. Like, I think you really do have to get used to doing self promo in the indie game. Like,
hmm
I think you have some artists who are naturally, very like occasionally you meet someone who's just like, yeah, I'm totally fine hyping myself up and like really extroverted people maybe, but for me I was like felt really shy and really weird, like cold emailing strangers and being like, you should listen to my song and add it to your playlist. Like that was so out of my typical personality to be like, my songs are great, you should listen to them, and that was really uncomfortable. But getting over that, I think, has been huge. And if people don't like the song, then they don't like the song. That's fine. Not everyone has to like my songs. Only 10% of people who I send it to have to like the song for it to do well. So, but yeah, ultimately, like all this marketing stuff is only going to work if the music, I think, is like there. So for me, that's kind of the first step, I think, for any artist is to just like get your writing there, and make sure you're making something that's like real, and
Mhm.
then that's what's gonna like make it snowball when you start getting on playlists and getting people to like really listen.
Yeah, so I guess it would be a good time to actually listen to the music that we've been talking about this whole podcast. So like, is there a specific single or newish song, or like what song do you want our listeners to listen to?
I would love for people to listen to one of my newer songs. It's called That Dress, and it's very New York specific, so it's perfect for this podcast. And it's one of the like B-sides basically off my EP. I
Hmm.
haven't been like promoting it a ton, but it's doing little baby streams on Spotify. But for me, it's a song that very close to my heart. It's about um, like knowing the train line that your crush or your ex takes, and like knowing
Wow.
your neighborhood, and you're like, all right, I'm taking the 6 today. Like, we'll see. Is he gonna be there? Like, I'm going by his stop and going by like, I don't know, Nostrand. Like, are we gonna run into each other?
Yeah.
When you know their schedule and like their train line. And yeah, that like anticipation, even when you're kind of like over it, you still know someone's subway stop and like kind of want to look nice, or like, yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
or the
Mike.
opposite, which is honestly, this is much more often the case with me, is I look like shit and really hope I don't see anyone at the subway
Mhm.
stop in question. But yeah.
Okay, nice. Let's play it. That Dress.
About the unhealthy shit I do. Took a couple months, but I finally got over you. But I admit it's true, I still wear that dress that you like. If I know I might run into you, I'll still try to look my best when I go by. You always said I look beautiful and blue, and any other part of this town on the red.
So, hey guys, welcome back to this episode of Sounds Like NYC. We've just finished listening to That Dress. And I mean, during the break, we were talking, or like David brought up this thing called 45 Records or something like that. Like, I don't know, what's up with that? Because I have no idea what you guys are talking
Yeah. What's
about.
up with that?
What's up with that?
So, what's up with 45 Records? This was actually something really cool for me. It happened in December, so it was a really nice little like holiday boost. I got an email from an A&R at a record label for I think the first time in my life, and you're always like waiting for that. And they reached out to me about signing just one track, which is actually my track Heartless. It came out in like September, I want to say. It was one of the singles off my EP. And yeah, they contacted me about signing the track, which was really cool. They actually identified it on this special technology they have that like identifies rising artists.
hmm
So it was the same algorithm that picked up like Lil Nas X and Tones and I. So obviously I'm the next Lil Nas X.
There you go.
But yeah, no.
Remember us when you become super famous.
Yeah, tell Billy Ray Cyrus I said hi.
Yeah, no, so I mean I think they signed a lot of, you know, early career artists as well, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, they reached out to me. I did my first call with them. I was like so nervous and excited, and at that point I had basically just arrived here in Massachusetts, and a tornado went right by our house. I mean, a tornado in Massachusetts, and I'm like on the phone with the record label in the UK, and I'm
Like, damn,
I
just
might
when I got
die.
it. Just when I had it.
like, this tornado can tear down the house in half an hour, and that will be fine with me, but like not now. But no, it was fine, and we were all fine, obviously. I don't think like as bad as they made it out to be, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, 45 has been great though. They've been doing a little promo on the track, so I think it's going to become my #1 streamed song soon, which would be cool. And I felt really hesitant about that track because I just was like, it's kind of a dancey, one of my dancier songs. It's a little more like confident, sexier than I usually go. And this was like, you know, August, September, and the pandemic. Like, I just don't think anyone was really feeling that mood. And I was talking to one of my best friends, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna put it out. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna write something different, whatever. And my best friend was like, no, I love this song. You have to put it out. And she's not a musician. Like, it's funny because she loves pop and she listens to a lot of pop, but she just also really like knows me. So she's kind of my go-to. Like, I sent her 20 songs yesterday, and she was like, sent me full notes on all of them.
Wow.
And these are the ones I don't like. But now I super listen to her. I mean, I always have, because again, I'm like, you like know who I am as a person, and I feel like that gives her a special lens on different songs. But yeah, she was like, this is a song I like, you have to put it out, it's my favorite song of yours. And that's the one that ended up getting signed. So yeah, she's my little good luck, I guess.
So how much do you owe her?
She can't hear you say
One
that.
penthouse at least, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
30% no. But yeah, I mean, how do you find like, you know, time management for artists? I feel like is a pretty funny thing. Like how does that happen?
Yeah, because you've been putting out so much music again, like in this whole year. Obviously, the pandemic kind of like made people be more free, but
20
regardless,
songs
like
last month.
yeah,
Something like that.
or like
Yeah, well, those are, I mean, let me put it this way, 15 of them are absolute crap.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
maybe 5 good songs.
yeah.
And that was for like a publishing opportunity. So
Oh, okay.
what happens with that? But
Yeah, but how do you how did you manage the time to like really go at it last year with
yeah,
producing all these songs and just managing your time in a way that like benefited the output and your success?
so the way I describe myself, and this is like not a helpful response, but I see myself, rather than being like, I have this goal and I'm like pulled towards it and that's my motivation. I have like anxiety that pushes me forward from behind and is like, March, you have to keep working.
Existential dread.
Yeah, no, really. Yeah. So I think I'm a little bit motivated just by my own, like, oh my God, if I don't do this right now, everything's going to fall apart. Like, and it's almost, it gets worse. Like, the more, you know, these sort of small successes that I've had, like, that feeling of like, oh my God, hasn't gone away. If anything, I'm much more like, it counts. Like, people are listening now. Don't mess this up. So that's part of it. But otherwise, I do, like, I make myself a schedule at the beginning of every week, and I'm like, this is when I'm gonna write. This is when I'm gonna like do emails. Although emails, I've started just like immediately replying. Like, as soon as I see it, I just reply, because otherwise I miss stuff all the time, or forget about things, which is really bad. But yeah, I just make myself a schedule and try to stick to it as best I can. That said, if I'm like, I really don't do well if I'm really exhausted. So if I'm just like tired, and like, especially with writing, like, I think as an artist and as a songwriter, you have to be able to turn it on to some extent. And like, you're going to a session, you have to be able to sit down and be like, okay, it's time to write. I'm putting my writing hat on. I'm going to be creative now. But if I'm like really just like emotionally drained, especially this year, 2020 was like, there were some days when I was just not gonna write, you know, and if I've come to recognize that feeling, and I will give myself like, today I'm just not doing anything music related.
Bless you. Bless you.
Thank God we're over here.
Yeah, so but I think otherwise, like, having that schedule in place helps. And I do procrastinate, but ultimately, if I'm putting something off, I'll just be like stressed and anxious about it. So I find it's, for me, so much better to just do it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's pretty
I mean,
good.
do you feel like it's worth it for artists, like when they're feeling like that, to at least try and push themselves?
Yeah, I do completely. I think you have to know yourself, and where like everybody has those feelings of like, I don't want to work right now, of course. And writing, we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves, I think, to like write a genius, amazing song. And the way that I've kind of gotten over that is like both being prepared. Like, I'm writing down ideas for songs all the time. There's like 5% of my brain that is always just like, could that be a song? Could that be a song? Like, as people say things, as I watch TV, I'm like, could this be a song? And like, there's a little voice that's just always going, and I write things down all the time. Like, my notes app is just like a huge mess of ideas, voice memos, and that's helped me be like, when it is time to sit down to write, it's not like, okay, Lydia, like staring into nothingness, come up with a brilliant idea for a song and a chorus and all this. It's like, okay, let me look at my ideas and see what I feel like working on, and like what speaks to me right now, but also what, whatever opportunities are coming up, or what it might be, like what makes sense to work on right now. And having that like ready to go kind of folder of things has really helped me be able to like turn on writing mode when it's time to do that.
Sorry about that one.
It sounds like it sounds like you have a pretty good grasp on, trying to push yourself, I guess, through it.
Yeah, I think so. But I'm trying to, I don't know, with my writing, I'm trying to push myself more, and like, I don't know, take bigger risks with writing, and like just go, always trying to just dig deeper, and like get a little weirder, and
A little weirder.
a little weirder. I don't know, like sometimes I think my writing can be, or some of my songs have been a little bit safe, especially like my first 2 or 3 songs, where I really like didn't feel confident enough in my art and myself as an artist and a writer. Um, take a bigger swing, or like write something that's just like, this is just like true, So not that they're not true, but yeah. So I don't know. The title of my EP was Copy Paste, and that's actually a reference to this process I've developed of like really trying to have my lyrics feel like just the way that I talk, and like conversations with my friends and things that I would say in real life. And I've actually been like literally copy pasting things out of texts and like popping them into lyrics, or out of my note. If you ever like, I do this all the time where I get mad or whatever, and I write someone like a letter in my notes app, and you're never going to send it because that would be crazy.
Right.
Hopefully you're not going to send it. Hopefully there's no like wine involved. But yeah, like I'll go into those and be like, hey, like there's something in here that could be great for a song, or what have you. So yeah, so that's where the title of the EP actually comes from. It's also, Copy Paste is a lyric in one of the songs, but I will leave that to any listeners who can dig it up. And yeah, if you find it, I don't know, I'll give you a prize.
Well, yeah, definitely. We should probably take a listen to it after and
Yeah.
see.
We'll try to find
Yeah,
it.
we'll try to find
We
it.
want
But
that prize.
yeah, definitely. But I mean, thank you, Lydia, for like coming on, and like it's really cool because once in a while we have somebody like you on who just has a complete grasp of what they're doing, and just is really trailblazing for themselves.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
yeah, it seems you have a great head on your shoulders, and like I'm definitely looking forward to whatever comes next for you, because yeah, it's really cool how like in depth you are into the process.
I can't wait to step out of the process.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've definitely learned a lot, on the go. Learned on the job. And yeah, thank you guys for having me on. Hopefully some of this will be helpful to someone listening. Again, if anyone, wants to DM me questions or has, things they'd like to know about, I'm always happy to chat. And yeah, I hope everyone likes the music, and I hope you feel inspired to start writing and working on your projects.
Awesome.
Definitely. Well, thank you guys for watching this episode of Sounds Like NYC. See you in the next one.
There you go.